Along with packing away my guitars, I figured this is a great opportunity to show you my guitar collection. Stick around, we're gonna get started right now. Welcome to the 11th Fret, everybody. My name is Chris. If you are a returning subscriber, welcome back home. And if you are new here, hang around for a while. See what this place is all about. You might like the place a little bit. I figured today is a great opportunity to show you my guitar collection and possibly spoil some upcoming videos because honestly, I have so much I want to get done. But at the same time, I have to start packing my stuff away. It's time to move. The move begins a week from now as I'm filming this. By the time this video comes out, who knows, I might already be moved. But I thought it was a great opportunity to tear down everything off the wall and show you what my collection is. Some things are cool, some things are not so cool, but I love all my guitars. Every guitar has a place. Whether it's cheap or expensive, there's always a place for it in tracking or live performance, what have you. Every guitar has its own character. So let's get started. So first, this guitar right here is the supposed giveaway. This is the thing I put out on the Slick SL54 video after we get to 5,000 subscribers, and boy oh boy did I get myself in over my head on that giveaway because getting subscribers to begin with is very, very difficult. I thought it was going to be a walk in the park. It is not. But this guitar is really cool because it is a 2006 made in Korea Epiphone Les Paul standard. What's interesting about this guitar is that Epiphone tried to tell me what it was, but I still can't find any information about it online. It's got black chrome covered humbuckers. The humbuckers themselves measure along the same lines as PAFs, so it's about like 8.5K on the bridge and about 8K on the neck. It's really, really low output and awesome too. I theorize that this guitar was made as sort of like an homage to that same Joe Perry Les Paul that came out from the custom shop that year as well. And that's kind of what I think this is, based upon the PAF style humbuckers. On top of that, I think it was also an exclusive run by a major retailer because there's really not a lot of information about these online. Most people try to confuse them with the Les Paul OBL, and people have gotten in arguments online about that, but that takes me to my next point. This right here is the Les Paul OBL. Why they call it the Les Paul OBL is OBL stands for Original Bill Lawrence. Epiphone or Gibson actually bought the Bill Lawrence pickup company and they started making their own pickups using his name. They're not real Bill Lawrence designs as I've gathered, but it is these interesting rails. And what's crazy about this is just like the Joe Perry Les Paul that I just showed you, these pickups are also very, very hot and measure closely the same, around 15K each. There is not a lot of difference between this guitar and the last one. This one was made in 1999, so it's about 3 years newer than the other Epiphone, but it's still really, really cool. I like this guitar. It's not part of the giveaway, but that is the Epiphone Les Paul OBL. Next is my Maton MS500 that I have modified the hell out of over the years. I got this probably in the early 2000s. I was really inspired to get one of these things after seeing Queens of the Stone Age and the Distillers. I was really fascinated with Maton guitars, and so this one came with these too many humbuckers. I wasn't a big fan of those because they were very, very muddy as my memory serves me. These days I might like them because my tastes have changed, but I remember them lacking a high end and it just didn't suit my needs. So for a while I put Seymour Duncan Fat Cats into this, and that's what this had in it for a long time. And then I had GFS Surf 90s in there, and now it's got a JB in the bridge and a 59 in the neck. So both are Seymour Duncans. This is a coil cut switch right here that only impacts the bridge humbucker, and honestly, I think with the coil cut on, it's perfect. I don't like the full JB humbucker on this guitar as much as I like just the one coil. It is beautiful, it works great. I don't know if I'll ever demo this because, I mean, it's an older guitar. I may talk about it at some other point, but I do like it. I think it's a great guitar. I did replace the tuning machines on here with some Godot locking tuners, and outside of that, this thing is pretty much stock. And I mean, just look at the, this is Australian maple, I want to say is what this is. It's just beautiful, beautiful look, and it's not roasted. I like the way this guitar looks, and more so than ever that I put the JB and the 59 in here, this thing sounds like a dream. I am a big fan of this one. This one here is my 2017 Les Paul Tribute Gold Top. I'm not a big gold top kind of person. I never was a gold top person before. I thought it hid the beauty of the wood. But when it came to the Les Paul Tribute, I traded for this. I had an Epiphone G1275 in Alpine White, and I was never playing it. So someone traded me straight across for this to take that Epiphone away. And I loved that trade. I mean, this guitar has proven itself as being like just a workhorse. And I know people love to shoot out between the tributes and the standards and what have you, but a Les Paul, my friends, is a Les Paul. There's not a lot that goes into it. Sure, it lacks binding. It does have like the faux wood binding on the outside, the exposed wood in place of binding, and I like it. I should probably play it more. No headstock brakes on this. It's clean as clean can be. There's a couple little weird scuffs, like I don't know if these are burn marks or whatever, but I don't care. I mean, it's a working guitar. What else is there to say? This one here is my 2020 Les Paul Special. This is a beautiful guitar. This is a tribute. The only thing that this really lacks compared to the other Les Paul Specials is binding, and obviously like a high gloss finish, but I don't care. I really don't care. I love the way this guitar feels, the way it plays, the way it looks. It's a Les Paul Special at the end of the day. And there's something to be said about these kinds of guitars as being the real true heroes of the guitar industry, because this is affordable, it's available to the working class musician, and working class musicians are the ones that change the game for everybody. I love this guitar. It sounds awesome. I've yet to demo it or use it on a video, but it's definitely a favorite of mine. You've seen this one before. This is my 1978 Gibson The Paul, not Les Paul, The Paul. This is a guitar that my mom gave to me when I was a teenager, and it was made about 6 weeks before I was born. So this guitar and I are bonded for life. Inside here is a couple Brandon wound T-top replicas, because when I got this guitar, it had a pearly gates in the bridge and a 59 in the neck. And they were old Duncans. I didn't dislike them. I like the 59 and I like the pearly gates, but for whatever reason, it just wasn't singing to me through this guitar. So I changed them out for Brandon wound T-tops versus getting the original T-tops that might still be on the market, because I thought the originals, if I were to find them, are going to be over $400 for a set, and that's going to be just too much money to throw into this guitar that currently doesn't have huge value. I still have the second generation chainsaw case for this one, and I know that that case is worth about as much as this guitar. Now I know this guitar is worth more than that, but this guitar has had its battle scars. I love it. All the patina on here is mine. I mean, I love this guitar. I will never ever ever part ways with it. It's just a great all-around guitar. I love this one to pieces. This is my 1989 Epiphone Sheraton ⅱ made in Korea. The information was mostly missing on this guitar. I really couldn't find out a lot about it. I bought it when I was about like 16 or 17 years old from a friend's dad at a barbecue that they were throwing, and I've taken care of it ever since. It used to have gold hardware on here, and I replaced all of it with nickel. I'm so happy I did. The harness has been replaced. I've got a Switchcraft 3-way in here, and I've got a pure tone jack as well. And then these are two Seymour Duncan 59s, and to be perfectly honest, this guitar, it is so great. I have put this up against 335s, and honestly, I prefer this to those. I've played them. I do love 335s, but for now, if tone wood is not really a thing, if it's just a myth, you can just throw great electronics into another semi-hollow body like a Sheraton ⅱ or even an Epiphone Dot and get arguably the same sorts of tones for a tiny fraction of the cost. So yeah, this guitar is great. It's got Grover Rotomatics on here with tulip keys, tone probes, bridge, and stop bar. Oh, I still have the plastic on here? I do. Huh, that's funny. I'm gonna leave it on there for now. And then just a couple black speed knobs, or a few black speed knobs. It's really clean, never been dropped, no damage. I've played live with it many times. It's a go-to guitar for me. I always love playing this. And I've always tell people, if there's one guitar I could bring to a show, it's this one. This one right here with that ring light, good lord, I need to move that out of the way. This is what I've just been calling Dusky Rose. It's a true Partscaster with a body from Guitar Fetish or GFS. It's an XGP body, and it's a hardtail. It's got a Fender bridge, it's got a pure tone jack, CTS pots, which I wired up together, Oak Grigsby 5-way, tone hatch pickups in here. This is the vintage class tone hatch pickups I have yet to demo, so this will be demoed at a future date. The neck is unknown. I got it with another Partscaster that I bought used, and I love the neck so much. It's a high gloss, and it's a quarter saw neck. I cannot identify at all who made it. It's got this really fat skunk stripe on here. I don't think I've ever seen a skunk stripe be so fat, but that skunk stripe stripe is merited because this is a one-piece maple neck. There is no maple fingerboard slapped on top. It's just one piece of maple, cored out on the back, and then filled them with a skunk stripe. On the back here, I just have standard Grover 6-in-line tuning machines because I had them lying around. Actually, no, these are locking tuning machines. So yeah, I had these lying around in a parts bin and I thought I would put them to use, and I love this guitar. It is such a fun player, sounds great, and I'm not a big pink person, but this works for me. This is a Harley Benton HBO 850 BK. BK for black. This is their Ovation sort of copy, and it has a preamp on the top. It's a bullback, really cool guitar, sounds awesome. The price is outstanding on these. I think as I'm filming this, it's around $111 before shipping and any possible taxes you might have to endure. But 111 bucks for this guitar is so great. I love it. It's going to be a future review for sure, but there we go. Next, this is the guitar that I have been meaning to get to as another ownership review after owning this guitar for a couple of years. This is my Slick SL55, and you first saw this on Guitar Max's channel. I let him unbox it for me, so it came to my door. Max came over to the house, took the box, which is what I wanted him to do, because I wanted him to unbox it in front of his audience, because this channel did not exist yet. And because of that, I thought, let's just let Max do it. And honestly, this guitar is super cool. I modded it the same way I did the SL54, where I put a couple Jinho Pro locking tuners on the back, and I transplanted the brass keys to the top. It still has everything else original on here. I love this guitar. It's a nice little Cabernita tribute, and it sounds awesome, plays awesome. There's nothing wrong with Slicks. I can't endorse that company enough, having awesome builds for a very affordable price. Is it heavy? Absolutely. This thing is a boat anchor, but it's so worth it. This is a great sounding guitar, and I'm sure other Slicks are equally awesome that I have yet to play. From one of my first videos, and arguably one of my most popular videos, this is the Slick SL54. You saw this before, I've already given my review on it. I still have it, I still love this guitar, I still play it. There's been no more changes to it since the previous video. Awesome guitar. Definitely pick one up if you have the means to do so, because wow. This guitar you recently saw on my other video for your budget guitar will always be a budget guitar, or whatever I called it. This is my first Act ME501 that I modded. It's got a couple Seymour Duncan Fat Cat P90s in here. I rewired the harness, put a new switch on, put in some Rotomatic copies from Music Lily, which I believe are Jinho as well, and they're still on the back. It still holds tune, sounds great, plays great. If you can get your hands on a used first Act that has like a 3x3 headstock design, definitely do so. If it's got one of those 4+2 headstock designs where it's like 2 tuners on one side and 4 on the other, don't do it, because finding a 4+2 tuning machine set is not easy, and if you can find one, they are not as cheap as a 3x3. If you can find anything along those lines, like on a used website like OfferUp or Craigslist or what have you, pick one of these up, or any first Act, because these things are actually sleepers. I think you can make great players out of these if you just put some work into them. This guitar is arguably one of my favorites as well. It's so fun to play. I love it. I didn't think I was gonna like it. It was my first Squier that I got, and I got it for really cheap. I just couldn't say no to it. My first order of business was to get rid of all the black hardware because it just felt dated to me. I was looking at all the black, like the black Floyd Rose, the black knobs, black everything, and I thought, you know what? Charvel's been cranking out some awesome guitars lately, and I have one. Let's make this more along those lines. And granted, this is Squier, which is an offshoot of Fender, and Charvel is also an offshoot of Fender. So I thought, you know, no harm, no foul. Reverse headstock, also interesting. I ordered a set of chrome left-handed tuning machines, just some generic stuff that was really, really affordable because I'm locking this thing down. Didn't want to pump too much money into it. In here, I also have a JB in the bridge, a JB Trembucker, and I've wired it up. Yeah, I've wired it up with a 5-way switch. I also put a momentary kill switch on here as well. Probably one of the coolest things I've ever done on most guitar mods is a blower mod. So I pull up the volume, and what that does is it bypasses all the electronics, just shoots the signal straight out to the jack, and you really hear a difference. It's not much. It's not like it's just gonna blow the roof off, but it adds a little bit more gain to your rig. And wow, what a cool mod that is. Very cool guitar. So much fun to play. I'm not a big shredder, so I don't want to embarrass myself on the channel by trying to do dive bombs, but I really, really enjoy playing this one. It's easy to play, easy on the eyes, and I think Fender owes the world a revisit to this guitar with the right aesthetics. And this takes me to the next guitar, which this one is really cool too. This is my Charvel SoCal Pro Mod. I believe it's a San Dimas model. I should probably look that up again. I got this guitar brand new. It's quilted green and it's got a JB in the bridge and a 59 in the neck. What's really cool about this too is it's got a 3-way blade switch here. And you pull this volume pot up, the tone does not pull up, but the volume pulls up and it splits the coils on both. But what's really interesting about this is when it's down in the middle position, it splits the coils. I want to say it's the 2 middle coils, and then you pull it up and it's the 2 outer coils. The neck is beautiful, it's slightly wider, it's really easy to play. And yeah. I'm a fan of this guitar. I don't ever plan on really getting rid of it. I'm not a big Floyd Rose player, but this thing just sang to me. I needed to have it in my collection, so I got it. And you did see this guitar briefly on the Mother's Day video with the Paul when I was doing the intro jam. This guitar was really cool. A lot of you guys have asked about it before because it looks different, because it is different. I had a set of GFS lipstick humbuckers sitting around doing a whole lot of nothing, and I thought, you know what, I've never seen anybody put lipsticks into a semi-hollow, so I thought I'd give it a try. It doesn't mean that people haven't done it before, I just haven't seen it, so I really wanted to give it a go. I got the whole body used with the neck, and it had tuning machines, it had everything, but it had like the electronics spilling out of the F-hole, and I think what ended up happening is someone tried to take it upon themselves to rewire a semi-hollow body on their own, and boy is that something to take on by yourself if you've never done it before. And I think that's what happened. I think they gave up. So I bought the whole thing for $75. I put in another Bourne's harness on here with some push-pulls on the volumes so I can cut one of the lipsticks out. So it's really, really cool. I can do that on each individual one. I think it sounds different. It's very jangly for sure, but it's a fun guitar to play. I enjoy it. I'll probably take these pickups out eventually and put something a little more conventional in here, or not. I could still have fun. Who knows what I'll do next. Now, a lot of you know that I just crapped all over G&L for that Placentia line. I thought that was terrible. What an awful release that was. I still stand by that. It was a terrible release. But this is my G&L Fullerton Legacy. It's got an HSS JB in the bridge, and it is just sexy. I love the way this guitar feels, the way it plays. I actually keep this one inside the house at my desk. It's always there right next to me. That's why you haven't seen it hanging up in the background. Probably should have it out here just to track with something a little more fun, but I just like having it in the house because I'm not always in here. I always want to have a guitar that's fun to play in the house, ready to go, and this is my guy. Super awesome guitar, love it. If you have the means to pick up a G&L Fullerton Legacy or any Fullerton designed or built guitar, even the Tribute line, the Tribute stuff is amazing. Definitely pick one of those up. This one I've used in a couple videos as well because I find it to be a nice utility vehicle. This is something that can complement a lot of different sounds. The way I have it set up is I've got these Dream 180s in here from GFS, and I've wired them up to do a coil cut. And you'll notice I always say coil cut versus coil split or coil tap, because coil tapping, I mean, for the most part, most people get that wrong. Coil split, I feel like that's almost like parallel to me. That's just how my brain works. Like if you're splitting a signal, it sounds like the other one's gonna come right through as well. It just sounds like parallel to me. So I say coil cut because you are technically cutting out a coil from the signal. Just makes more sense to me. I wanted this to be more like a Paul's guitar sort of thing. I mean, yeah, I know it's not the same kinds of pickups that Paul Reed Smith uses in his design, but I wanted to do something along those lines because I like the way this guitar plays. It's a PRS SE. It's one of the early ones. It's one of the single cuts, so it only has one volume, one tone, and then a 3-way toggle. I prefer the 3-way toggle versus the rotary knob because I like to be able to hit something on the fly and get to my tones as needed. And then, like I said, I have some DPDT switches that I threw in here to do a coil cut, and I put them in the same position that Paul's guitar has his. Perfect. This is another guitar that's in the works for a video. It is my Shijie STE-Relic. This thing is just a beast. I can't get enough of how sexy this guitar really is. It's a quarter sawn roasted maple neck with this flame maple skunk stripe right down the middle. It's got a what's called a custom 59 in the bridge, and it also has custom 62s in the middle neck. It's been rumored that these are from Godo, and not the same Godo that makes hardware. There's a whole separate Godo in Japan that makes pickups too. Very weird, very confusing, but I got an earful from the hardware Godo company that they are not related to the pickup company. How strange is that? So I don't know if these are actually Godo pickups in here, but it's really cool. I love the fact it's got a nice pop-in trem system. So the bar just pops right in, no wiggle, no play. The switch is nice and clicky. I mean, everything about this guitar is great. I did rewire it a little bit. So I rewired it in position 2. It will cut one of the coils from the bridge. So it's got an auto split essentially, or auto cut. So it'll cut out the adjustable side of the humbucker, leaving on the slug side of the humbucker for a signal. And that gives me a nice little strat quack, which is what I expect from a guitar like this. Yeah, this guitar is just painfully sexy. I am due for a review on it, and I will likely do it very soon. This guitar is a wonderful find. Definitely one of my favorite players out there. When I got this, it was out in Maryland, and I found it in a guitar shop. It's all Warmoth, and it was so cheap that I just had to buy it. I really had to buy it. It's nothing short of stunning. It's a hardtail Stratocaster, another hardtail, and it's got a Maton classic humbucker in the bridge, which is kind of simulating the PAF sound. The one I originally had when it came, it was an all black pickguard, single ply. It had a Texas Special pickup in the middle, and it had another Maton humbucker sized P90 in the neck, and I just didn't like the way that sounded on this guitar. I didn't mind the pickup, it just wasn't speaking to me, so I thought I'd make some changes. I had a hot rail sitting around not doing anything, so I put that in the neck, and then I put a vintage rails in the middle position, and I left the Maton classic humbucker here as well. It's got a push-pull pot in the middle right here, which will enable the 7-way mod, and what that does essentially is it turns the neck pickup always on. So when I have this lifted up, the neck pickup is on all the time. But what's cool about that is in position 1, I'm getting both pickups here. Position 2, I'm getting all 3, and then I've got to wire it up to where in position 3, it's only the middle. Position 4, all 3 again. Position 5 is bridge and neck again. Super cool guitar. All white, black hardware. This thing is a beast. It plays and sounds like a dream, but yeah, one of my favorites for sure. This guitar you just saw, I just talked about my Mustang the other day. I don't really need to go too much into detail about it other than it's still a great player. It's got some nice patina on the neck here. It has all the original patina here on the body that was refinished by a previous owner. I don't know the story behind that exactly, but I did put this guitar back together, and I love this guitar's sound so much. Speaking of Mustangs, this was something you guys brought up a lot after the last Mustang video, and this is the Bullet Mustang. This is Fender's most affordable options that they have on the market. It is about $199 normally on the brand new market, and sometimes they go on sale for about $179. And it's got this beautiful skunk stripe on the back. It's a nice CBS era style oversized headstock, and on this one in particular, I decided to change the harness on it because it just needed to happen. The pickups that are on those Mustangs are not that great. They really aren't. They put 250K pots on the volume and tone, and they throw in these 2 generic basic humbuckers, and it's just not a very fun sound to play with. So what I did is I threw in a couple GFS Surf 90s. If you're looking for something really affordable, something different, something fun, these things are so cool. I also changed the pickguard to a red tortoise, and I threw in a new toggle, replaced the potentiometers to 500K, and then I had a Switchcraft jack lying around, and I thought I'd put that in here as well. It's not a string through body yet. I might do that. There's still more mods I want to do to it still, like change the tint of the wood on the neck and so on and so forth. They're just a lot of fun to play, and because they're shorter scale, the frets are closer together, so you can do like crazier reaches on the fingerboard. Really, really fun to play. This guitar is a guitar I don't give a lot of love to. I probably should give it more love, but I just haven't. This is a Partscaster that I put together using really, really affordable parts. I think I got this body on clearance from Amazon, and I want to say it was like 30 bucks. It was really, really cheap. I don't even know what it's made out of. It's got a belly cut on the back, Fiesta red. It's a little more rounded on the outer edges than I care for in a Tele, but it works. It's nice and comfortable. I don't get that uncomfortable arm rub. I love snakehead Telecaster necks. I think that's one of those designs that Fender should bring back way more often. The headstock though, I shaped it myself and finished the neck on my own. This was just a basic paddle, and I kind of did this by eye. I don't think I did it spot on accurate, but I still like it. It's a fun guitar to look at. I just don't like playing it very much. This guitar is one of my only Ibanez's that I own, and it's kind of a crying shame because I love Ibanez guitars. This is an RG321. It's very simple, very basic, very affordable. Also a string through hardtail. It's got 2 humbuckers in here, a 5-way blade switch, and then just 2 regular potentiometers, so we get a volume and tone, and then it's just some standard gunmetal gray sealed tuning machines. The neck is a nice wizard profile. It's easy to play. I think I have this one tuned to standard D. Yeah, so it's tuned down to standard D, and if I just really want to play something heavier that's in a dropped tuning, I tend to gravitate towards this one. It's a fun guitar to play. It's nice and beat up, and it's got a lot of natural patina on here from just years of use from the previous owner. I bought it and I thought about having some more fun with the finish, but why would I do that? This guitar is fine the way it is. I don't need to risk screwing it up because I just feel like I have to put my hands on it. It's a fun guitar to play. If you ever see these available on the market, definitely check one out. I think I paid like $120 for it, and it was worth every penny. It's a nice open pore mahogany body as well. I mean, really, really cool guitar. I enjoy it. In my mind, I feel like I've shown you this guitar before. I think it's only ever made a video thumbnail and nothing more, because I originally had it on my budget guitar video and I cut it from the video itself because it just felt redundant. But I love this guitar. This is the BB391, or also known as the Overload. It's a double cutaway, so it's almost like a Les Paul that's been reshaped, combined like with an SG. The guitar has been heavily modded by me, of course, because why wouldn't you do that? I went on this whole tangent about why you shouldn't sink tons of money into cheap guitars mods, and I do it all the time. Most of you guys, though, who have not watched that video all the way through might agree. For everybody else who did watch the video, you know, it's okay to mod your guitar for you and only for you, and that's what I did here. So I put in a DP-DT switch, and on, and this one has a slick old school cool pickup in here, which is around 9.2K. So I basically got in one position, it's basically the adjustable coil. In the middle, it's full humbucker. When you flick it up, it is the other coil. I don't know why I did it that way, I just did it that way, so leave me alone. It's got one volume, one tone with new knobs on here as well. It's got locking tuning machines, and it's just a fun little banger. The only thing I could say about this, which is basically the same complaint that I would have about a Gibson SG, is that there is some massive neck dive on this thing. And what neck dive means is that the neck is heavier than the guitar itself. So when you have the guitar strapped around your shoulders and you let go, it's just gonna sink. And that is one of the major problems you'll ever encounter with guitars like this. What's also really cool about this guitar is there's a nice flame maple on the back here, and it's not a photo flame. This is the real stuff. Again, first act guitars are wildly underappreciated, and if you can pick one of these up for cheap, please do. They are fun to play, fun to modify. I definitely recommend them. This is a guitar you've not seen. This is the Brownsville Impala. This is kind of like a neo-classic that never existed in the 60s. It's a fun guitar. It's made in the same place that Danelectro makes their guitars, but these guitars don't get a lot of love, and they should. These toaster style pickups on the bridge and the neck are awesome. Such a cool design. I like this guitar, and it's all solid. This is not at all like Formica that Danelectros might be made out of. I don't want to say Danelectros are made out of Formica, but you kind of get the point. It's artificial material. This thing is wood. What the wood is, I don't know. I don't care. It's got some weight to it. It feels great. It's about a Gibson scale, so we're looking at about 24.75 inches. A lot of fun to play, and eventually I'm going to do a shootout between this and a Danelectro because that just needs to happen. Speaking of Danelectros, this is my Danelectro U2. This one's from the mid to late 90s. This is one of the first releases in this blue color. I love it. It's a lot of fun to play. When I got my hands on it though, it had a splitting fingerboard, so the fingerboard was separating off the neck and it had some finish cracks that went with it. So I took some wood glue and I took kind of like a hypodermic sort of needle looking thing designed for glue. I don't know what those are called, but I used one of those to fill in here, and then I clamped down, and it's been right ever since. I love this guitar. It plays and feels great. There's some things I might do to it in the future because I just cannot stand these kinds of tuning machines. Fun guitar to play, and I'm definitely going to pit this one up against the Epiphone Dot with the lipsticks, and I'm also going to do another video likely against the Brownsville, possibly some others as well, just to try and iron out like what is the cooler vintage guitar, sort of. The modern vintage. Now, I'm a fan of building Partscasters, and this is one of them. This is a Partscaster that's built to be a baritone guitar. It's got Seymour Duncan quarter pounders in the bridge and the neck. It's a traditional harness on here. It's got an orange strap cap, an Oak Grigsby 3-way blade, and yeah, I got a nice sunburst. This body came from Allen Eden. The neck came from All Parts, so it's made in Japan neck, and I also threw in some hip shot locking tuners as well. These are the open gear, I think that's what they call them, and this is a fun guitar to play, probably not in tune. Not really at all, I haven't played it in a while, but fun guitar to play. If you don't have a baritone, you should. Yeah, a lot of fun. Back to baritones again, another Partscaster. This is my first baritone that I built, and I wanted a Cabernita style body to go with it because I was just really into Cabernitas for a hot minute. Still love them, don't get me wrong, but that's what I wanted. So I got this assembled before I even got the slick. Again, it's another baritone. It's got hip shot locking tuning machines on the back. And it's got 2 push-pull pots, so the volume and the tone, basically push-pull to split the coils on each humbucker. Both of these are, I want to say, well, this is clearly a Seymour Duncan parallel axis. I can't remember what this one is. This one might be a 59. I don't remember. The body is from GFS, and the neck is another all parts neck. Same one as the previous one. And it's a lot of fun to play. So cool. Probably out of tune. No, in tune. Sort of. Great guitar. Now this guitar is actually in the works. It's got a video being made about it right now, and I'm spoiling the surprise. This is a Harley Benton something something something. I can't remember their code, but I'm calling it the Rim Jute guitar because it's basically a copy of the Fender Jim Root Stratocaster, which sells for about $2,000. They don't make this model in a Squier version, so if you really want something that looks like this, Harley Benton's your only choice. A lot of fun to play. A video is being made about it right now, and I hope to have that one out soon. This here is my first guitar, at least the first one that survived. Like the other guitars that I had in the past did not survive me. I was a drummer, I still am a drummer. As I got my first guitar, my parents just crapped all over it, said it was terrible. It was a Tiesco, I can't remember the model number of it, but it was a double cutaway, kind of looked like a mini 335, but I was a big metalhead. I had like long hair and I wanted something that had more jagged edges, kind of like a Jackson Kelly or a Flying V, something like that. And I hated the way that guitar looks. So I cut it to pieces, and yeah, I thought I knew what I was doing. I didn't know anything. Then I got this. This is a 1994 Fender Squier Series Telecaster. I got this brand new from Ted Brown Music in Tacoma, Washington. My mom bought it for me. It did not have this paisley graphic on here. It was just all black with a white pick guard, and yeah, everything about this guitar has been modified outside of the wood. It's the original neck, it's the original body, everything else has been replaced. In here is a set of Planet Tone, I want to say they're 1969 Telecaster pickups. I rebuilt the wiring harness, I think multiple times, but it's got an Oak Grigsby switch, a CTS volume and tone. I don't think I've got any push-pull. No, I don't. No push-pull. Black pick guard, and then I've got Fender locking tuning machines in the back here as well. Fun guitar to play. I can never part ways with it. This graphic I got on Etsy. There's a guy who does like these skins you can get on Etsy. I'll try and put a link down in the description for that if you're interested. But he has these like clings, kind of like what cars use for their wraps, and they can be printed on, so that's what this is basically. One of my most recent acquisitions is this Telecaster copy. All the parts on here are from Warmoth, and I love this guitar so much. When it came to me, it was an abandoned apartment item. So a landlord from an apartment complex was just offloading stuff that was left behind, and this is one of those guitars. The guitar came with some terrible artificial patina. I mean, they were just like repeatedly stabbing the body and cutting in weird ways, and it was all like bare wood, and I wanted to add some age to it. Oh, and then this one also has Mojotone's broadcaster set in here. So Mojotone has their own broadcaster set. I was doing like this crazy hunt for a while on Instagram trying to see who made these pickups, and I finally identified them as Mojotone, but it's a lot of fun, great guitar to play. Another one of my Partscaster builds, this introduced me to the brand Nomoonlaser, owned by Sean Cox out of Nebraska. And Nomoonlaser builds affordable bodies, but I found this one on eBay that had already been sort of finished, and on the back of it, you can see it actually has a Matney G bender on it. If you don't know what a bender is, these are a lot of fun.
So we can kind of do these pedal steel kind of riff. And if you push the guitar and the neck down, you'll see the strap here kind of slides up, and it bends the G string.
I was kind of going through a Brad Paisley kick for a little while. I'm not a big country listener, but Brad Paisley is like a shredder that is, he's just worth checking out if you've not done that before. So on this guitar as well, I also installed Hipshot locking tuning machines. As you can tell, I'm a huge fan of Hipshot tuning machines. I think they're wonderfully affordable. They look awesome, and they do a great job. I put a stainless steel pickguard on here, so you can kind of see that on this as well. It's a whitewash finish, and it's getting some natural patina from just me playing it a lot. Yeah, this guitar is a fun player. If you've never played a bender guitar before, definitely check one out. This one's fun too. Another Nomoonlaser body from Sean Cox. This is what I like to call the Nebraskaster, except I wasn't able to find a neck made in Nebraska at the time I put this together. So this is a Baja Telecaster neck that was removed from another Baja Tele and replaced with something a little thinner. So I ended up coming across this neck. I threw it on this body here, and it's got a couple tone hatch. I want to say there are also vintage class pickups that are in here. Super awesome. It's got a Lucky Dog plate blade on here with an angle, so it's got a 4-way blade switch. I could basically do bridge, middle series, middle parallel, and neck. Super cool guitar, 1 volume, 1 tone, wired this up myself with a Fender bridge, and then I've got some compensated Goto saddles on here as well, and it's just, if you have the means to build a Partscaster, definitely do so. This is a really fun one, and I have yet to feature it on the channel. This guitar you've actually seen behind me for a little while. This is a true to form Partscaster. Parts came from everywhere to put this thing together. This is an Allen Eden body. This is a Warmoth neck. It's got, again, hipshot locking open gear tuning machines here. It's got a Fender pre-wired pickguard that came off of another guitar that had a whole nother pickguard assembly thrown on, and it's just a fun guitar to play. This thing has become one of my favorites. But from behind me, before, you would have seen it with all white pickups, and now it's got a black JB trembucker in the bridge. I decided to throw a black one in here just kind of as like a little nod to like Billy Joe Armstrong and Rivers Cuomo, those who had similar heavily worn Partscasters that got used a lot and defined their career. It's not a straight copy. I'm not trying to copy that exactly, but it's a lot of fun. The pickup that was in there before, the white one, was the Fender Diamondback, and it was more like a PAF sort of sound. It had Alnico 2 magnets in it, and it was a lower output. Some people don't like those because they're trying to do some like crunching, and it's a little sloppy on the attack, and that's just the characteristics of Alnico 2s. But yeah, I switched it out for the Alnico 5 JB. It's got a lot of mid-range bite, a lot of attack. I had nothing really bad to say about the Diamondback humbucker. I actually really did like it, and I was toying with the idea of just keeping it in here because why upset a good thing? But I had the soldering iron broke out anyways, and I had my pickups pulled out, and I was like, let's just do it. Why not? What do I have to lose, really, right? Great guitar, fun to play. If you can build a Partscaster, please do. Another guitar you've seen a lot of in the past. This is part of the Tone Hatch video that I did before, but this is the demo guitar I used for that. This is a 1994 Fender Squier series that I bought used for $30. And I just decided to pump money into this thing to make it something fun to play, get rid of all the junky hardware, get better pickups, all that stuff. So this has hipshot, not the open gear locking tuners, this is the closed gear, and it also has a totally rebuilt harness. I got the pickguard from Amazon. I mean, it's kind of a common pickguard to find, but I liked the floral pattern on this white body, and I wanted to have the nice contrast with the white pickup covers, the white knobs and switch cap. It's got an oak Grigsby switch in here, CTS pots with an orange drop cap, and then I added a big block trem to the back as well, or to the guitar itself. It sounds awesome, a lot of fun to play. I love this guitar. This was a find and a half. I'm gonna do a video about this one much later, but this is from the brand Coop out of Youngstown, Ohio. It's a boutique builder. Coop Guitars is run by a luthier named Patrick Murray. Hand builds all this stuff and does his own patina. So this is the model that is known as Wish You Were Here. It's one of his earlier models. It's got a nice fat chunky neck on here, single piece of maple and a skunk stripe on the back. It's got some Lindy Fralin, I think they're called Hot Vintage. This thing is a beast. It looks great, sounds great, plays great. What an amazing guitar this is. I don't anticipate ever getting rid of this. One day I'm gonna do a whole like expose on Coop as well as some other independent builders. This is a new guitar that started appearing behind me. This is a guitar that my friend and I call Karma. This guitar is a Fender American Standard Stratocaster that was an HSS. The HSS, the pickguard that was in here, is in that Daphne Blue guitar that I showed you earlier. This one has a hot rails in the bridge, it's got a vintage rails in the middle, and a cool rails in the neck. It's got a TBX tone pot down here. It's got a 5-way Oak Grigsby switch as well. Very simple. It's got Fender locking tuners on the back, and then I actually refinished this myself in a blue flake. I had some issues many times trying to do that, but it was a lot of fun. It still has some dings and what have you. It wasn't a perfect refin job, but it's okay. It's good enough because this neck is not perfect. This neck has wear and dings as well. So I'm like, you know what? Let's just chalk that up to patina. How about that? This guitar I refinished in a blue flake. It was originally black. And the reason why it's named Karma is because when my friend and I bought it, someone had actually carved Karma just below the tailpiece here. Very crude with a knife. It was ugly, but we kept the name Karma. We actually kind of thought about even leaving the carving there and just finishing over just to preserve its history. Although that's not fun history, it's still its history, but I decided not to do that. I just filled it in, and then I put these pickups in here with a anodized gold aluminum pickguard, and I think this looks sexy. I like the way this guitar plays, the way it sounds. It's a fun player and an easy one to get attention with on stage. This guitar is my graduation present. I bought it brand new from Ted Brown Music in downtown Tacoma at the time. I want to say it was around 97 is when I bought it. This is a 1996-97 American Standard Stratocaster. This one's weird to me because I've reached out to Fender and I've asked them questions about how it was built, because what's hard to show you on this video is just the burst that's on here. There is a burst. It's not metallic. It's a high gloss red, but it's translucent in the middle and then just goes solid on the edge. It's not like it's darker and then lighter. It's just translucent and solid. So there is a really, really weird mild burst. The skunk stripe on the back is also strange because I'm gonna tilt it so the light hits it just right. There is no walnut or rosewood or anything like that on the back. It is like maple. It's a maple skunk stripe. Is it not? I mean, I believe it's a maple skunk stripe. It might be something a little like a lighter walnut. I'm not really sure, but it's a light skunk stripe. This guitar has gone through many incarnations of pickups throughout the years. It's had its stock pickups. I've since sold them on eBay when I was like, you know, I want to say it was like 20 years ago I did that. I had some EMG David Gilmour's in here, the DG20 set, and I had those in here for probably like 15 years. I didn't really have any complaints about them. They're nice and quiet, but I just wanted more and I needed more. So what's in here right now is Arcane 61 Experience pickups, and these things are just amazing. It also has a push pot on the lower tone, so it's push down and it clicks into place, push down again, and it pops up, and that gives me the 7-way mod. The way this mod is set up is only in positions 1 and 2. So position 1, I get the bridge in the neck, and then position 2, I get all 3. This is a guitar I can never part ways with. It's a graduation present that I got back when, and it's just a beautiful playing guitar. Yeah, awesome. This guitar is something that came my way a couple years ago. It was advertised as a made in Mexico Telecaster for about $151. What a weird number, right? Had a case, $151. It was on the old service Let Go, which has since been absorbed by OfferUp. I saw $151 for a Fender Telecaster, and I saw Fender on the headstock, and I thought to myself, that's definitely worth a gamble, even if this is made in China as a counterfeit. I thought I would just go ahead and buy it. So I messaged the seller. He said it's still available. It had been up for like about a week and it hadn't sold, but it was still available. Red alerts were going off all over the place. There's tons of red flags, like, oh man, I'm gonna get killed. Something's really wrong with this. But yeah, I should go. So against my better judgment, I hit the road. The guy told me where to meet him, and so I drove to this dollar store to meet him in the parking lot, and he opened up the case, showed me the telly really quick, and I just handed him the $151 right on the nose. As soon as I rounded the corner, I opened up the case. It's a 2015 American Special, and it was all stock. It had a black pickguard, and now it's got locking tuning machines on here. It's got this aluminum paisley pickguard and Goto compensated saddles. It sounds awesome. It's amazing. I may take the Texas Special pickups out of it. I'm not as crazy about Texas Specials these days as I used to be, but I'm on the fence. I don't know. I do like the way that this guitar is, the way it plays. It's a lot of fun. This is my crazy deal story. Probably one of the best deals I ever got on OfferUp. And to be honest, I did have this thing checked to see if it was stolen. It wasn't stolen. It's never popped up as stolen. If it was, no one ever reported it, and I still have it to this day. It's been years now. I want to say it's like been 3 or 4 years since I bought it. It's such a great guitar. If you can get your hands on an American Special, please do. Super cool. So that's my collection. That's all the guitars I currently have. Now, that's not including the guitars that might be in the garage getting worked on or put together for that matter, because I have a lot of parts. I think I'm sitting on about like 8 different bodies and about 10 different necks out there. There's a lot of stuff I'm working on in this moment in time, so I have to pack all that up carefully with bubble wrap and just gently put it in boxes so nothing gets scratched or dented. But outside of that, these are the guitars I currently have in my collection, which will change. Sometimes these guitars will leave. I will get over them and just allow them to move on, and then other times I might just have new things come in. But that is my collection for now. Is there a guitar that you saw in that list that you want me to cover more in detail? I mean, sometimes when it comes to Partscasters, I don't even know where to begin. How do you review something that's very unique to you? It's gonna happen at some point. I will be going over Partscasters in great detail in the future. So now that all that's behind us, thank you guys so much for stopping by the 11th Fret and watching me again as I tear down this place. I look forward to seeing you guys in a future video. Until then, I'll see you guys next time.